Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
You want some NFL talk here? You want some NFL talk in early April? You came to the right place on the early line on a Tuesday morning, April 1st, 2025. Donnie Wrightside here along with Mark Zinno. It is April Fool's, which not too many people are going to fall too many times for, hey, haha, it's pretty funny stuff. You know why I bring this up? Tiger Woods. See what he retweeted about, or tweeted, I should say, about 15 to 20 minutes ago? Quote, I can't believe I'm saying this, but a few weeks after rupturing my left Achilles, the sleeping in a hyperbaric chamber plus the explosive lifts, my doctors and trainers have me ready to play for the Masters next week. Can't wait. See y'all on the course. Now, Mark, if you would have saw that, would you have got really excited that Tiger's back, bust out the posters, and fire away on the FanDuel Sportsbook for an epic victory for Tiger?
No, Tiger would never get my money. He's just not he's not at the level of a golfer who deserves my money at this point.
Yeah.
We're not talking about Tiger from 20 years ago. We're barely even talking about Tiger from 10 years ago. Tiger right now that steps out on the golf course doesn't have a chance to win, given the competition and the level that's out there. So, well, it's nice for the tweet, and I certainly appreciate it, and it'll draw eyeballs, but it wouldn't get my money. Those are two different things.
Now I got to get to work on Twitter because I should, like, April Fools, I should have came more prepared. Like, Mark Zinno's on the show with me this morning. Ben was let go by the network. April Fools or not, nobody knows. Next show I have is Moneyline after this. Kevin Walsh probably won't be there again for the 9th out of his last 10 days. I could have said he got let go by the network. Like, that's how I should have used my time here on a Tuesday morning, by letting people go on the network at this point. And by the way, we think some people would have believed that too, Mark, I believe. Wait a second, where's Ben? Gotta let go. They don't realize it's April. Like, oh man, that's terrible. So I can play it both ways.
It would have been a good idea. We could have had a lot of fun with it.
We could have.
For the first hour of the show, people solidly would have believed that breaking news was about to happen.
Exactly. That's what we do. Breaking news on the early line, and away it goes. Now, there is big breaking news today that may be anticipating with rule changes, Mark, in the NFL. And the major rule change on deck is to ban or not ban the tush push in the NFL. Ari Miroff sent out a tweet here that says the Texans head coach DeMeco Ryans on the Packers' proposal to ban the tush push. Quote, It's tough to punish a team for being really good at something. So we'll open the conversation here at this point. We'll get to some coaches that don't like it, some coaches that like it, a la Nick Sirianni. But I always find it to myself where you're banning an illegal play as if one team has an unfair advantage where they got grandfathered in, like only on fourth downs, the Packers can have 16 players on the field because they were able to do that in 1960, and somehow throughout the league years, they're still allowed to do that. We don't. Every single team in the league is allowed to do the tush push. Now, the reason why all teams don't do it successfully is because maybe they don't have a strong enough offensive line. Maybe they don't have a powerful running back pushing. Maybe they don't have a quarterback that squats 650 pounds. And maybe if an organization goes like, I'm not going to give my quarterback extra hits, so I'm not even going to try it. But one team is willing to do that, and I want to penalize them. Let's start on that level right now. The banning of the tush push, because some teams don't want to do it, but they're allowed to do it, but they don't find it to their advantage when somebody else has an advantage. What do we think about that whole schematically thing?
I mean, the problem with the advantage that the Eagles have and the Bills to a certain extent is that they have the two players you can do it with, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like nobody else, not everybody can do the tush push and execute it. In theory, they could, but not everybody has a 240-pound quarterback who could literally knock a linebacker on his backside. Like that's, you're not going to get that from Bryce Young. You're not going to get that from Jaden Daniels. You're not going to get that from even Dak Prescott. Like they just, they're not going to put their quarterbacks in that position to get injured. They're not going to do it with Patrick Mahomes, right? Like they just find other ways to get it. So not all 32 teams have the ability to do it. And I use the comparison to the torpedo bat. All 30 Major League Baseball teams can use a torpedo bat, levels the playing field, but not everybody can do a tush push because they just don't have the personnel. Now, does that mean I think it should be banned? No, I don't think it should be banned. I think you should alter the rules that defenses can push players back, right? Like that's, to me, is the fix to this whole thing. Allow linebackers to push a defensive lineman into the offensive line, but then we're going to sit here and play this player safety card. Well, if it's player safety for the offense, for the defense, it's got to be player safety for the offense. So you don't have to get rid of the tush push. You just even have to figure out something where all 32 teams can do the exact same thing on both sides of the ball, and it solves the problem. So again, I think there are teams that are whining a lot about this because they can't figure out a way to stop it. Here's the other thing. Guess what? If you play better in all the other aspects, the tush push is one play that only materializes itself on like one down in one situation, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. That's it. So kind of either figure out a way to stay out of those situations, or here's a crazy idea, get a lead. The Eagles won't be doing the tush push all that much if they're trailing by 15, right? Like that kind of negates that whole concept. So you could try to figure out a way to beat them in every other aspect of the game.
And also, we love offense. Like we're not too far away, Mark, where teams were routinely punting on 4.5 yard at the plus 37 yard line. Like, oh, too risky at this point. Let's pin them inside the 5. It sort of keeps drives together longer and adds extra opportunity for scoring, which we do like. Now, we're going to take a look from an approach where, Sean McDermott of the Buffalo Bills, I've always found interesting in this because sometimes, hey, look, I have a quarterback that can do the, sneak at some points here. It didn't work out all that well in the playoffs for them, but he's worried about injuries and the injury situation, even though he readily admits, I don't have any injury data to back it up and nobody really gets injured on this play, but I'm worried about injuries on this play. So here's a video from Sean McDermott talking about the tush push here.
I've done, I've dove deeper into more of the data on it and, just thought more about it as well. And my position hasn't really changed at all. I feel where I'm most concerned is even though there's not significant data out there to this point, my biggest concern is the health and safety of the players, first and foremost.
What are you seeing with the health and safety of the players? Since, as you said, there is really no data to say there's injuries. Like, what are you seeing?
Yeah, I think anytime you get in, it's two things. It's force, added force, number one, and then the posture of the players. Being asked to execute that type of play, that's where my concern comes in.
Do you think you'll continue to run the play if it remains and you have concerns about the safety? Do you think you'll continue to run it? Because I think you ran it quite a bit last week.
A form of it, right? A form of it. So I think it's a loose term, really, in terms of what defines a tush push. So there's different forms of it out there. I know we are one of the teams that people identify that run it. That's fair. There's other teams as well. So look, we're gonna always act in a way that's best for the health and safety of the players, and I think that's the responsible way to go.
By the way, my first takeaway from that was not actually what he was talking about in the tush push. Can we get a side-by-side on Sean McDermott and Freddie Roach, the legendary boxing trainer? Identical, like they're twins right now, as I just saw. What he was talking about here, Mark, was banning the tush push based on injuries where nobody gets injured on the play. How about that?
Yeah, again, I mean, the Bills' tush push was equally as successful. It worked in the playoff game. The officials said it didn't. That's the reality of it. I mean, it's not like that play got stopped. That was the first down. I think we all know that at this point in time. Doesn't mean the Bills would have won that game, but, the refs got that call wrong. And that's the sad part, too. We're having the wrong conversation about tush push. We need a chip in the football. We don't need the tush push. Like, that's how you figure this whole thing out, where you start to stop it, and it's not just some melee in the middle that the officials can't find the ball on. So we're having the wrong conversation here as well.
Yeah, let's just get a new strength coach in the building. How about that to improve your tush push there from your quarterback and your center and your offensive line? It happens, people. Mike Tomlin, you're on deck. Let's talk some Steelers football next.
Enter into the magical world of McLuck.com, where even the smallest of spins can win real cash prizes. Adventure into over 1,000 of the best Vegas-style slot games. So what are you waiting for? Unlock your free welcome offer today. Join the fun where winners play and players win.
Two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results. What?
How do you do this once?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
Did you know sportsbooks tend to draw up tighter bet lines for events that get even more bettors, like championship games or major matchups? My tip? Try betting on less popular sports. You might have a better shot at beating those odds. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Oh, it's nice to talk football here early in the month of April. Yes, it is April Fool's. It is April 1st, 2025. It's Mark Zino. It's Donnie Rightside. No April Fool's on this show here. We're bringing the straight facts to you directly. Even if the NFL coaches, aren't giving us the straight facts, like Sean McDermott saying, let's ban the tush push because people get injured. I don't really know if they get injured, but it just sounds like they might get injured in the future. Let's do away with it. Now it brings up the Pittsburgh Steelers, who seem like they have the easiest decision in the room. Well, we purposely didn't sign a real quarterback, quote unquote, in the offseason because our expectations are we want Aaron Rodgers. He doesn't really have anywhere to go, Mark, but the Pittsburgh Steelers. But for some reason, he might drag this out for another month or two while he tries to make his decision. Let's just start here. The thoughts on Aaron Rodgers to the Pittsburgh Steelers does what for you?
I mean, it's sad to say it's probably the best quarterback that Arthur Smith has had is an entire play calling career, which is 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers. But, you know, again, I don't know that it really elevates them all that much. You know, Aaron Rodgers didn't play poorly last year, right? Like, he didn't play great, but he certainly didn't play poorly. And he's not the sole reason why the Jets weren't successful by any stretch of the imagination. His numbers tell you that and everything else. I still think he could play. I don't know if it, you know, puts him in a position to be the division winner of the AFC North. I don't think that's the case. But again, I still think Aaron Rodgers would rather play in Minnesota in the NFC than have to go to Pittsburgh and play against Lamar, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, and everybody else.
Yeah.
It's a much easier path to a deep playoff run in the NFC than it is in the AFC. So I think we're all going to sit here waiting until the Vikings decide whether they want Aaron Rodgers or they don't. And the minute they say they don't, Aaron Rodgers will call up the Steelers and go, okay, I'm ready to go play in Pittsburgh now. That's what that's how this whole thing plays out. And that's what it's waiting on right now is the Vikings to make a decision if they want Aaron Rodgers.
Mike Tomlin likes to say the standard is the standard, when the standard right now is they can't find a quarterback since Ben Roethlisberger retired at this point. Now, we do have some video here coming up with Mike Tomlin where he explains the process of, I'm comfortable without a quarterback. How about that?
He's a free agent. As you guys know, he came to visit last Friday. We had a really productive day. He's been in this thing a long time. I've been in this thing a long time. But it's no substitute for, you know, intimacy and spending time together and getting to know one another in a non-competitive environment. And so that was really good. But I don't have any new updates in terms of where the process is. We'll see where it leads us.
How unsettling is it, or is it, to not have this situation?
I'm really comfortable with being unsettled this time of year, to be quite honest with you. It's about talent acquisition. We got two main means of acquiring talent: free agency and the draft. We multitask. We do both. Those needs that we fulfill in free agency, we do so there, and when we don't, we fulfill it in the draft. And so I just learned over the years that this time of year, although, you know, day to day can be somewhat uncomfortable, it is a process.
You don't even need a lie detector test, Mark, to understand this. Is he lying? Look, sweating bullets, talking about he's not worried about his quarterback situation. It looks like he's more worried than anybody in the history of professional football of who his quarterback might be. How about that?
Yeah, the profuse sweating wasn't necessarily a great look for Mike Tom. Maybe there was some bright lights there from cameramen and everything else causing him a little bit of extra perspiration. But you can't, I mean, look, there's a difference between I'm comfortable with uncertainty at this time of year and I'm comfortable with Mason Rudolph as my starter. That's the bold-faced lie. No one's comfortable with Mason Rudolph starting 17 games. So they can say that, but we all know that's a lie, and that's not true because we know Mason Rudolph is not a starter in this league. That's the reality of the whole situation. So are they comfortable with it? They're going to be as comfortable as they can get until after the draft, and then OTAs start showing up, and they want their quarterback in there. That's where you start to get uncomfortable. That's where the comfort becomes discomfort, is because when you want to start building things and getting your season ready, you need your starting quarterback in the building.
Yeah, you're more confident right now in the Pittsburgh Steelers. You can head over right now to the FanDuel Sportsbook. Get that win total listed at 8.5. How about the AFC North Championship plus 550? How about the AFC title 21-1? And to win a Super Bowl, 44-1 price. Now I want to hit you with this angle, Mark, because we talk about like the Pittsburgh Steelers waiting. What is Aaron Rodgers actually waiting for at this point right now? Like, why has he not committed to the Steelers, which from as good as you can get, right? Good defense, good offense team that's used to being over 500, looking for a quarterback. You're a quarterback. They want you. What is Aaron Rodgers waiting for right now?
The Minnesota Vikings, playing indoors, playing with Kevin O'Connell, playing with a high-level offensive team. I mean, look, if you go to Pittsburgh versus Minnesota, which division? They're both tough division. Which one do you think is more likely to win? I think it's the Vikings. I think they're closer to winning the division than the Steelers are.
But they've already told you at this point, right? The Vikings say, no, we're going with the young kid. Now, understand this too, because the dichotomy does change at this point. Like J.J. McCarthy is there. If we're really taking Kevin O'Connell at his, word, they're telling Aaron Rodgers, hey, wait, I love this kid. We drafted him in the top half of the first round. But if he stinks during 2 OTAs, I'm going to come sign you for big money. You be our starter. Is something amiss in Minnesota that I'm like completely out on, where they love J.J. McCarthy to the point where they don't even think he can play in the NFL? Like, what am I missing here?
You're missing the fact that he's coming off a torn ACL and that he's still not physically going to be 100%. And it's tough for quarterbacks off a torn ACL who have been.
It wasn't an ACL, though.
Achilles or
like,
ACL?
That was one of those injuries where, yeah, it was a knee like meniscus, let's just say. It was like an 8-week injury. Like, okay, we're not going to rush you back this year. So he's perfectly healthy at this point.
Okay, well, I mean, again, he hasn't played a snap in the NFL. So you got a guy coming off an injury, never having played a snap. There's a lot of questions there. I mean, I think the Vikings are more about, do we want to disrupt what we have? Do we want to change the locker room culture? Do we want to do all these things? In favor of, bringing Aaron Rodgers here as opposed to going with a rookie. They sold on Sam Darnold. They knew they had to have a current backup plan. I don't know that J.J. McCarthy, they're putting all their eggs in the basket.
Like, Darnold didn't even get a lot of money per se on the NFL landscape for a true starter here. Why would Minnesota just keep him there only to say we want Aaron Rodgers, who's aging at this point? We don't like J.J. McCarthy. What's going on, Minnesota? I'll tell you what's going on. We're talking more football next, right here on the Early Line.
First time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Headlines, people, headlines in the NFL. Look, you know the NFL. It's 12 months out of the year. It's 365. It's all that good stuff baked in. The owners' meetings today, which we're going to find out sort of what's approved, what's not approved, maybe some more coaches talking this morning. We'll get some of those leaks to come out here. The Giants, they can't afford any leaks at this point, Mark. Why? Because they leaked all their information in the offseason, on Hard Knocks all season, embarrassed themselves to the point where no NFL team will ever do that again because of how bad the Giants looked. Congratulations. Now, the Giants had the world in the palm of their hand late in the season where all they had to do was say, you know what, Brian Dable, I'm going to bring you back next year. Joe Shane, GM, I'm going to bring you back next year. Here's what I need coming from Mara's perspective. You can't win any more games. We want the top pick here. Then we'll have the entire choice of the draft to make the right decision about our future. The Giants were stupid enough to actually get some gumption and knock off the Colts, which now lands them the 3 spot instead of the 1 spot. It may be a 2-quarterback draft, if even a 2-quarterback draft, as opposed to Cam Ward going number 1 overall. So the Giants go, hey, man, we're not going to force a quarterback selection at number 3. Genius general manager, Joe Shane. How about that?
Yeah, again, I've said it repeatedly that December 29th, 2024, not only is a date that will change the trajectory of the New York Giants franchise, but maybe even the NFL, depending on what some of these young players turn out to be, particularly Cam Ward and Shedeur Sanders, Travis Hunter, Abdul Carter, whatever it may be. But that'll be a day that the NFL and the Giants history took a turn that went in a completely different direction because, well, we had a franchise long 10-game losing streak and we had to snap it because why not? Yeah. Well, I can't even get into it. Just I'm going to get very upset. It's too early in the morning. That said, the Giants are now in the 3rd spot. If they take a quarterback in the draft after signing Jameis Winston and signing Russell Wilson, like it is the ultimate, they have become the ultimate punching bag for an organization. You see this yesterday, DRS? For an organization that has been in the dumps for 10 years now, they signed a quarterback who said he's looking for more giggles. That's what Jameis Winston talked about in his press conference. Let's have more giggles. This is the NFL, not kiddie daycare. I don't need giggles. I need wins. Okay? Bring me wins, and then I'll start giggling. Bring me to the playoffs, then I'll start giggling. This franchise has become an embarrassment. They really have become a joke in the NFL.
I'll tell you, like different franchises, they're never going to tell you how they handle it. I understand a big part of why Gerard Mayo is out of New England because he won a football game late in the season. I honestly believe that. Like, it's up to your ownership group to command and convey like what you want. Now, theoretically, it's probably unethical. Like, I need you guys to lose this. But if, the Mara family came down or John Mara comes down and just goes, Joe Shane, Brian Dable, you're coming back next year. Don't feel the pressure to win any of these games. You know what I'm saying to you right now. Whereas when you play, the players don't tank. No, they don't. But you know what happens here? When Brian Dable goes, all right, no audibles in this game, Drew Lock. 3rd and 19. Oh, we really need this to extend the game. Hand the football off to a fullback up the middle. Right. That's how you do it at that point, right?
Or you just say, Drew Lock, set this one down. Tommy Cutlets is going to start this game. And that solves the whole problem. Tommy Cutlets, go play your heart out. We're still going to lose by 30 because you're terrible and don't belong here.
Oh, it's so simple where the organization just mess things up and then the Titans find themselves at the top here. Now, another polarizing individual, which really shouldn't be that polarizing. It's Brock Purdy, a solid quarterback in the NFL, but I'm telling you right now, you see some people say, pay him at the top scale, $60 million a year. And then an equal amount of people pay him $15 million a year because we don't think he's all that much. I can't wait to see when this deal gets done. But the reason why it's taking so long and so many years is I don't think anybody knows exactly where that pay slot is here for him, Brock Purdy. But what is he actually worth?
I mean, listen, I don't think either one of the quarterbacks I'm going to mention are worth the contracts they got. But Trevor Lawrence and Jordan Love got deals that I think Brock Purdy would feel like he is worth. I don't think Jordan Love and Trevor Lawrence are worth either one of those deals. I think they were both awful deals for quarterbacks who had proved nothing. Brock Purdy's at least gotten to a Super Bowl, right? Like, he has that in his back pocket. That said, I don't know if the Niners feel like they need to be tied to him. I still have it in the back of my head that at some point in time a trade materializes with the 49ers, who cleared out a ton of cap space and a ton of salary, to bring Kirk back to coach with Kyle Shanahan in San Francisco. I think there's a world where that trade could materialize, but I'm probably on an island on that one. I just don't know what they're waiting for with Purdy. If they would have wanted him that badly, they would have signed him already.
Maybe the best rookie contract in the history of professional sports. It was like $775K, man, and they couldn't win without it. We'll see what happens. More NFL talk next, then some college basketball.
Hey sports fans, here's a tip to keep in mind the next time you make your betting picks. According to research, home field advantage is no joke, especially in those playoffs. In the NBA and the NFL postseason, the home team typically has a 64% shot at victory. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
News and notes, including just a few moments here. We'll break in some breaking news from the NFL. But before that, other hot topics here. We're getting to the point now where I guess it's advantageous, Mark, where you have a quarterback or a high-level player on your team that you just continually rip up their contract every 1 to 2 years to re-sign them to lower the cap hit, understanding you're going to save money because the cap continuously goes higher on a year-to-year basis. The reason I bring that up is the Baltimore Ravens and Lamar Jackson looking at another extension fresh off of an extension right now. Normally, Mark, I'd say that's crazy. But just in the NFL landscape at this point where you sign a player now and in 2 years he's worth like triple that amount, maybe signing them sooner than later repeatedly is a new business practice in the future of the NFL?
I mean, you're starting to see a little bit of it in baseball with them buying out arbitration years, right? For guys that they really feel like have hit, and it ends up saving them a lot of money and ends up being fiscally responsible for them. You're starting to see that now, I think, in the NFL where once guys get through that third year, they're willing to extend them given how quickly and exponentially the cost of players is going up, particularly at certain positions. And again, you know, I use this conversation with the Giants and all the mess that they have that no one's really thinking about. Malik Neighbors, their stud rookie, who continues to be another success story as wide receivers coming out of LSU. You've given him a bad quarterback his first year. You're going to give him a bad quarterback his second year, and you're probably going to be on a third quarterback his third year. What's the reason for him to stay? Like, unless you throw him a whole big bag of money after 3 years and go, you're our guy, you're going to be the biggest part of our offense for the next 5 to 7 years, you're not helping keep that guy around. But it's advantageous for the Giants to do so with a guy like Malik Neighbors because, by all accounts, after 1 year, he's already popping off the screen as one of the top receivers in the NFL.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting to see how the NFL landscape and obviously the contracts are changing where it's like more, again, you're supposed to be like, hey, sign him to a great deal. Woohoo! Saved over the next 5 years. And that's not the case anymore at this point because of how much money and the salary cap is going up here. Also, one of the final sticking points, this isn't an April Fool's joke. Woody Johnson calls his F grade from the NFLPA bogus because I guess he blamed his son Brick for his he's really running the team and got the F and not Woody Johnson. So Woody Johnson's going to step in and say, you know what? I'm better than the F grade that I got.
Are you? Look, F and the Jets seem to be synonymous, whether it's about LPA, whether it's about the play on the field, whether it's about their postseason success, whether it's about their NFL draft history. I mean, feels like a lot of Fs. That's all I know.
Yeah, it really does feel like a lot of Fs for the Jets. Make the playoffs. Maybe you get D's, C's, B's, and A's because the players are happy to actually show up to work as opposed to getting beat down every single year. But we do have breaking news in the NFL, as we told you. From the owners' meetings, a lot of things do break. Some signings will happen, but also rule changes. The first one we'll go over, Diana Rossini retweets here, or tweets out. The NFL will now allow both teams to possess the ball in overtime, but still only have a 10-minute overtime. Be like in the NBA. Hey, let's get the opening tip in overtime. Oh, look, Milwaukee won it. Giannis laid it in. Game over. Like, that's not fair. We want a chance to have the basketball. We want a chance to have the football. So at least the NFL is saying we'll make it a little bit more easy in overtime for the team that doesn't win a coin toss to actually get the football. Mark, your thoughts on that?
I hate the NFL's overtime. It gets worse and worse with every tweak they make. Stop the whining and just play defense. It's that simple.
Flip whining.
A coin, play football. It's flat out whining. It's not fair. I didn't get a chance to touch the ball. It's not fair. Play defense. We whine about everything that we don't win within the NFL. It's all it is. It's a bunch of baby stuff. It's soft. It's Charmin. It's weak. It's just ridiculous. How about you just play some defense? Is that okay? Is that novel concept something that bothers people? Such a joke. The NFL is just, they're a laughable joke with their nonstop rule changes in overtime. Flip a coin, play ball, grow a pair, deal with life. Football's tough. Wear a helmet. I'm done with this crap.
No, football stuff. We don't wear helmets around here, Mark. Let's go back to the leatherheads out there knocking it around. You got to, no way. No, I need the football in overtime. I need it. I can't lose to a coin flip. Now, granted, if it was a skills competition, where it's like, you know what, we're just going to throw the football up in the air with 10 guys on each side and whoever gets the football gets it, I might live with that at a point because you had a chance technically, just like in the NBA, if you tip it off, even though I don't agree with it, you still have a chance. The coin flip leaves you rendered out. Hey, I don't get the football. I lost the game. What am I supposed to do? So I can't buy into that at that point.
No,
but I do agree with a change on that.
Tell you otherwise, because when they had the coin flip, the team that won the coin toss only won the game 52% of the time, and that was over like 25 years worth of data. Since they've gone to this new stupid overtime, the team that wins the coin toss is winning close to 70% of the time. So take your data and do whatever you want with it.
Yeah.
Flip a coin, go play ball, and play defense. If you'd like the ball back, go stop somebody.
Well, you just said now 70% of the time the team that wins the coin toss wins overtime. So that's the advantage. They're trying to take that away, no? Like, because you win a coin toss, you win overtime.
No. It used to be close to 50% when you just did sudden death, when you did it real simple. Yeah, okay, let's go back to sudden death. Flip a coin, play ball. End of the conversation. First team to score wins. End it. That's it. I mean, they're eventually going to morph into college overtime. That's what the NFL is going to go towards. They want that stupid system that is in football. They're eventually going to end up with that because you're going to get some stupid
college overtime.
College overtime is awful.
College overtime, awful. It's at least awful. It was you got in rhythm, and then it turns into the 2-point conversion show, which is hilarious. Another thing that has passed. Get ready, Mark. More replays. Expanded replay assist has also passed here. So get used to, college basketball in the final minute, excruciating. Maybe the NFL will do the same thing. But the NFL, I do like expanded review, but I don't really know the details of actually what they're going to be able to expand the review because from my knowledge is you can't review the penalties that weren't called. So when we all get angry, like, he just tackled him by his face mask. Wasn't called. No big deal. Review can't save you on that.
I mean, you'll never get me to change from the Bill Belichick camp. At this point, all penalties should be reviewable. A coach should be able to use one of his 2 challenges on any.
Oh.
You're not making the game any longer. You have 2 challenges in a game. If you'd like to use it on a random holding call in the first quarter, knock yourself out, coach. If you'd like to wait for a missed face masking in the fourth quarter of a game, then go ahead and do it. You get 2 challenges. You can use them on a penalty. That's the end of it. Like at this point, the coach should be able to coach the game and manage it for his team and say, hey, you missed that one. I want it reviewed. Plain and simple. All penalties should be reviewable.
All the way at this point, too, where like the replay, it's the expanded replay. The reason why we like it is like we see a play on the TV in real time and we go, ooh, I don't think that was right. And then they get buzzed down the earpiece, move that football back to the 45-yard line. That's the correct spot. And they put it there. One thing I will never understand, which I do understand it myself because it's a business. More replays mean we can go to commercials, and that's where we can fit those in, which is ridiculous for the home audience and the people in the stands that don't want that to happen. But for me, if we just never had the ref going over and taking like all intents and purposes, like we joke about like Ben's TV on the wall, like looking at Ben's 17-inch TV or 6-inch TV, as opposed to just saying we have an entire fleet of people with 80-inch plasma LCD screens that can make this decision quickly. I know even in college football when they do it, it upsets me, Mark, where like, hey, send the ref to the side of the field with a little like monitor to be like, ooh, I guess it was a fumble, and then go call it back. That's all I hope for here. Take it out of the ref's hands on the field and just buzz them when a play needs to be changed. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah. And here's the only problem. The NFL has given no parameters of when replay assist is allowed. When do they decide that they want to get involved in a play versus when they don't? Which is, and because there's no parameters, you're leaving it up to the subjective view of one individual who's not on the field to go, maybe we should buzz down and let them know about this. No, that's ridiculous. That's the ridiculous part. It shouldn't be up to anybody other than the coaches on the field to decide when an extra replay is needed.
I see it. There we go. So the opinions are out there in mass. We'll probably get some more rule changes as the show goes, which includes when are they voting on the tush push? Will it be banned or not banned at this point? We'll certainly be able to find that out. And if it does happen, we'll bring that breaking news to you. You know, this is breaking news. The Final Four is playing this Saturday. Let's get talking about it next.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. You studied the stats. You had the perfect bracket until your upsets turned into regrets. SportsGrid rides the highs and lows of every buzzer beater, bracket buster, and Cinderella story.
The Big Ten Freshman of the Year!
Our team brings you sharp insights, real-time reactions, and all the madness. Only on SportsGrid.
The 2 guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this one?
Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
If you look at how the men and women did it, the men, the portal opened up the day after the round of 32. Same thing with the women. Men on Monday, women on Tuesday. Why can't they just do the day after the national championship game when the season ends, next season begins, then you open up the portal. All teams have completed play. All bets are off.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
Sometimes you got to recap before you get to the actual games themselves, which the Final Four take place this weekend. And the SportsGrid Network has you covered. Make sure you get the Bracket Central in-game live. Fantastic. We'll be live for both of the Final Four games. But how we got there, Mark, certainly has been significant. Watching that Texas Tech-Florida game this past weekend, saying to myself, my goodness, what a ride for Texas Tech. They find themselves in the Final Four. Could they get hot enough out of the Big 12 to take down some of the biggest beasts in the business, which includes the Florida Gators, which they had on the ropes late? What a comeback by the Florida Gators and Walter Clayton Jr., who finished with 30 points here. I was so impressed by that Florida win, and sometimes you can use those victories as a catapult moving forward. Now, as we take a look at some of the numbers here, the Florida Gators, 34-4 on the season. Before pre-tournament odds to make the Final Four, -135. They got there as the favorite. Preseason Final Four odds, 15-1 price. Preseason title odds, 60-1 price. Those Florida Gators looking good right now, Mark.
Yeah, if you're holding a Florida Gators national title ticket, you're in real good shape right now because you're in a double-hedged spot here in the semifinal and again in the final, if that's the case, to make sure you get out of there with some cash. But I think overall, Florida was a team that for the last month leading into the tournament, I said was the best team in the country. And then I watched Duke roll through the next 4 games, and now I have a lot of concerns about Florida being able to beat Duke. So just being fair here, but still, none of these teams have real holes. They're all very good on both sides of the floor. And the interesting part is, I'm not sure if you're aware of this, Donnie, there are just 4 freshmen combined on all 4 Final Four teams. 3 of them play for Duke. One of them is Cooper Flag. So, this is a very elder, experienced group of Final Four teams, which means we get really good basketball, which means we get high-level IQ basketball, and that changes the scope of the game a little bit here. Granted, again, I know all these guys with the transfer portal all didn't stay at their school for their 3 years and 4 years and played there, but nonetheless, this is grown men college basketball, if you will.
No, it certainly is. And grown men being the Auburn Tigers as well, the number 1 seed there coming in their region, a 70-64 victory over Michigan State. It was never really all that close all the way through. Auburn really had them, out in it with an extended margin, but the game got really interesting with about 10 minutes to go. Janai Broome falls down or sort of tries to, brace his fall and injures his elbow, leaves the, playing surface, or should I say the court, goes back and then comes back in, but really wounded out there with one wing, not able to work all that correctly. They actually made a 3-point shot, which I thought was incredible, but rebounds with one hand, passes with one hand at this point. They win 70-64. Take a look at their odds pre-tournament to make the Final Four, -105 price because they weren't playing all that well down the stretch in the SEC. Preseason Final Four odds, +420 price, and the preseason title odds market of 20-1. So I ask you this question. It was impressive to beat any team as quality as Michigan State in the tournament. But moving forward, do you downgrade Auburn at all for the injury or possibly injury maybe harming Janai Broome here moving forward?
No, I mean, I assume he's going to be healthy. I don't know that we've seen anything that says that he's not. I genuinely believe that Auburn, of the 4 Final Four teams, and them being they're the number 1 overall seed, right? This was the team that was the team heading into the tournament, feels like the team that has, and at least odds makers are telling you they've got the longest shot to make it, but, or to win the whole thing rather. This is an Auburn team that, is starting to come together. You look at their performance against Michigan State. That was the most sound performance they had of any game in the tournament. It really was, including their opening round game where they won it handily, but Bruce Pearl was not happy with his team's effort. We've seen them struggle in some first halves. We've seen them sort of, play bad stretches. That Michigan State game, they started fast, stayed fast, and won the thing easily.
Yeah, it's a very impressive team in a tough conference here, and it almost looked like there might have been a chance that Broome wasn't coming back to that game and maybe his season was over, which would have been devastating for Auburn. But coming back in here, another SEC tilt going to take place this weekend, and we're going to enjoy that and watch that one play out in the Final Four. Other teams advancing into the Final Four, no surprises again, because they're all 1 seeds. The Duke Blue Devils with an 85-65 victory on Saturday night from Newark, New Jersey. Game stays under the total. Duke wins by 20 points. You just see the depth when Alabama coming in as hot as a pistol to that game. only scoring 65 there. It's the Duke Blue Devils. You take a look at some of the numbers for Duke. Final Four odds before the tournament started, a minus 140 price. Preseason Final Four odds, plus 175, and preseason title odds at a plus 950. They were expected to make a run. They're making a run. How are we feeling about the Duke Blue Devils moving forward into the Final Four in San Antonio?
They look like a freight train, don't they? I mean, they're just nearly impossible to beat. They don't make any mistakes. They don't have bad stretches of basketball. They're very athletic. They can play up to the tempo of the team that plays faster, or they can slow it down if they need to. They can adjust their style of play. This is one of the more complete teams I can recall in years in college basketball overall. Obviously, having the best player in the sport helps. That doesn't hurt anything. So now they just got to finish it off.
No, they do. It's really impressive. And the fact that, Cooper Flagg goes down the ACC tournament, is it going to even be back for the tournament itself? They win the ACC tournament without him. They come into the tournament, and then all of a sudden they detonate a couple teams right in a row. He's completely healthy. That team looks like they're on a mission, but they're going to get a pretty good test here by the other team from the Elite Eight into the Final Four. That's the Houston Cougars with a 69-50 bashing of the Tennessee Volunteers, two of the best defensive teams in the country, playing a lot of defense, which included 15 points out of Tennessee in the first half of that game with the Houston Cougars. You take a look at Houston on the season, 34-3. Pre-tournament Final Four odds, plus 125. Preseason Final Four odds, plus 240, and a 12-1 title price on the season. Expected to do damage this year, and they look fantastic doing it. Houston through to the Final Four.
I mean, who doesn't want to see the nation's number one offense in terms of offensive efficiency and the number one player in the country against what may be the best defense in college basketball we've seen in 20 years. Like that's what I'm here for. I'm here for the matchup. So it's going to be an incredible, two semifinals to watch.
I'm excited for it. And college basketball is certainly on solid footing. All four number one seeds, two tremendous games on deck. We didn't have to do that, as I continue to joke about, I missed the first game of the Final Four. It stinks. The matchup's better than the second one. Both of these games are going fantastic, and the SportsGrid Network has you covered. Let's take a look at the odds in the Final Four coming up next.
First time on a casino floor and feeling a little overwhelmed? Well, here's a tip. Lots of machines have a free demo mode you can try for practice. So give those slots a spin in practice mode before you start putting down some real cash. Now, go get lucky. See you in Las Vegas. Let's get lucky.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to Game Time Decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're gonna go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's gonna help me get the job done. There is not gonna be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
It's Tuesday, April 1st, Saturday night. We're going to have a Final Four with all 4 number 1 seeds and 2 fantastic games in anticipation. Game number 1, 6:09 Eastern. Game number 2, 8:49 Eastern. That is from San Antonio, Texas, from the Alamo Dome. So taking basketball out of the arenas and into the football stadiums here. We'll see how that plays into it. But if we do focus on the odds for these games, first up, 6:09 start, as we said, Florida and Auburn. This line opened up at the FanDuel Sportsbook here, Mark, as a minus 2.5 point favorite towards Florida. It still sits today at 2.5. Every other outlet I'm looking at, 2.5 as well. The total, 161.5, has dropped 1 point at the FanDuel Sportsbook Live to 160.5. When you saw these odds hit the market, what was your initial thoughts here, Mark, on this game?
Number was right according to my numbers. Maybe -2, but 2.5 feels fair. Where the real question is as this week goes along, will the public push this to Florida -3? At which point in time, I think you'll see a lot of sharp money come back in on Auburn. It feels like Auburn is the sharp side here. From what I've been talking to professional bettors and what they have forecasted, I think they're waiting no much to see as well. Will the public do enough to move this thing to 3? I don't know that if it gets down to 2 first, if the sharps hit it first and get it down to 2, that it ever goes back up to 2.5 or 3. But I could conceivably see by the time we get closer to Friday, enough money coming in on Florida to push this thing to 3, at which point in time the buyback will come in.
Yeah, I would be surprised if it does stay at 2.5, because also you still have to take a look at Janai Broom and how he factors, because the good part is a lot of public practices with a lot of press in the stands in San Antonio to watch these guys during their warm-ups here to see if that elbow is actually affecting them. Because it's not as if it's like just an average wing player, a normal starter. You're talking about 1, 2, or 3, the best players in the country that might have a fault of, hey, man, I can't get down low to get rebounds, which he's an absolute menace on the boards. I can't work in the low post. I can't, go down and get real physical here. That's going to be a tough part of it here, and I'm interested to see where that goes. So my initial thought, Mark, Florida and Auburn, I really like Florida at the -2.5 point price. Now, even though coming in healthy or not healthy, I thought Florida would be able to beat Auburn, had them both in the Final Four, and Florida advancing to play Duke. So it won't be a surprise to me. But what are you thinking about that total? 160.5 live, San Antonio, Texas, dome environment. Any thoughts on, the tempo should be there, but will the shooting be there in kind?
I mean, I would tend to think that the over favors Florida just because of the level of shooting that they have, both inside and outside. I kind of just feel like that's, what really makes me feel like if this game gets into the 180s, that it's going to favor them. When you look at the matchup they played earlier this year, it was a 90-81 final in a game where, Florida shot 58% on 2-pointers. They shot 39% on 3-pointers. It's hard to keep up with that level of shooting. It just is. And I don't know that the 3-point shooting for Auburn feels like it can match up with the 3-point shooting of Florida. I mean, numbers say that it can, but what I've seen in this tournament just doesn't feel like it.
Yeah, it's a great matchup here. Neutral court environment. We'll see how that plays into it. Florida, Auburn, both be represented by their fan bases, and we'll see which one makes the most noise. The reason I bring that up is game number 2 is 8:49. That's Houston in the state of Texas, playing in San Antonio, taking on the Duke Blue Devils, who notoriously also have a very passionate fan base that will show up. This line opened up as a favorite towards Duke at -4.5. Still sits at the FanDuel Sportsbook today at 4.5. Some other outlets have moved to 5 and 5.5. The total in this game opened up at 136.5 at FanDuel, still sits at 136.5, and that is the number that's showing up at most outlets as well. Houston and Duke, initial thoughts when those lines came down on both the side and the total for you, Mark?
This number will probably hit 6 before they tip this thing off. I don't have a doubt about that. That said, there's a very specific game script here for Houston to win this thing. They have to win the first half, and they have to have a lead. If Duke goes into halftime with a 4 or 5 point lead, all they got to do is make 2 buckets and make this a 7 or 8 point game, and it's going to feel like 20 is what the lead is going to feel like. Houston has to slow down Duke as much as they can. They're not going to be able to play up tempo. So Duke getting into the mid 70s here is a recipe for disaster for Houston because they cannot keep up offensively with what Duke can do. And so their whole goal is to limit the possessions, slow this game down to grind it, and force Duke to make very tough shots for 40 minutes.
Yeah, 2 great basketball games, 4 great basketball teams, all number 1 seeds winding up in San Antonio. It's the way it's supposed to be. Hour number 3 is next. MOP odds, we got them next. Let's take a look.